class, so this may be a little more fluid than many of our other Voices for Change talk. But thank you all for coming. I'm really pleased to have you here today to hear a little more about how you put together a TED Talk. And I got interested in this, I was telling our guests, several years ago when I was in South Carolina, I got invited to do a TED Talk. You know, as a professor, you write papers, you get published, they get cited. If I'm really lucky and stretching the truth a little, maybe I've been cited 1,000 times. I did a 7-minute TED Talk on social work, and I've had over 200,000 hits on it. So if you want to get your message out, don't write journal articles. But find compelling ways to get your story out, like these ladies are going to tell you about. So today we have, and we're very grateful that you're here, Megan Ward, who's the director of the New Media Institute at Grady, and then Kate Devlin and Kendall Lake, who are respectively the curator and assistant curator of TEDx UGA, which will be happening on March 22nd at the Classic Center. And they are going to talk to us about any conceptual lessons for every TED Talk. So thank you very much for being here.
Thank you for inviting us. So we have a presentation that we're going to give you guys, but then we're going to open the floor for questions so that you can ask us and pick our brains, ask us anything you want, pick our brains. We've been doing this for 6 years. So to get started, like your dean has said, my name is Megan Ward. I'm the administrative director of the New Media Institute, which is an institute devoted to teaching students how to use technology in the Grady College of Journalism. I'm also the licensee and instructor for TEDx UGA. There is a TEDx UGA class. We're going to tell you more about that in case you are looking to take an elective. And then as licensee, I oversee all things for TED here on campus. I am what my students call Mother of TED. So that's me.
And my name is Kate Devlin. I'm a graduate student pursuing a degree in emerging media. I'm a graduate assistant in the New Media Institute, where we all work, and I'm the curator for TEDx UGA. And that's a role I've been in for about the past 4 years, and basically what it means is that I help everybody figure out what they're going to say on stage, and I make sure that all of those things sound good together.
And I'm Kendall Lake. I'm an undergraduate journalism major, but I'm also pursuing a master's in emerging media. I also work in the New Media Institute, and as the assistant curator, I act as Kate's right hand, and I will be taking her role when she graduates.
Before we go any further, do you guys want to come sit?
No.
Okay, you guys are.
All right, so first we're going to show you a little taste of what TEDx UGA is all about. We'll see.
TEDx UGA is about sharing great ideas. It's about connecting with others in a collective experience. TEDx UGA is brought together partners from all over academics for these ideas. It's brought together faculty, alumni, students, scientists, innovators, musicians, activists, entrepreneurs, photographers, artists. It's brought together everyone to connect, to share, to experience.
Alright, so as curator for TEDx UGA, I spend a lot of my working hours doing pretty much exactly what we're doing right now, and that is talking about TED. And I know that the concept of TED can be kind of strange to an outside audience, so I figured out the best way to really conceptualize it for people is to explain it like this. TED, which stands for Technology, Entertainment, Design, is a non-profit organization that's founded out of New York City and was organized in 1984. What was once a single annual conference has now expanded into a worldwide movement, a global platform that's dedicated to ideas worth spreading. That sentence, though, kind of glosses over just how global that impact has really become. So today, the ecosystem, as I like to call it, of TED looks kind of like this. It's massive. It has a huge number of programs, one of which is TEDx, but the one that we're all most familiar with are those TED Talks. TED Talks are those viral videos that used to be shared on Facebook feeds and on Twitter, and they're the way that most of us engage with TED as a brand. It's the content that TED produces. What most of us don't really know, though, is that these videos have been viewed 3.8 billion times since 2006. That is a huge number, and that's a number that is growing still every single day. So when we think about it that way, it makes sense that a lot of people are asking this question: what's the secret to a good TED Talk? And if you're asking yourself this question, a lot of other people are asking themselves themselves the same question, and the answers look a little bit like this. 5 secrets of public speaking for the best TED presenters, TED Talks, 8 secrets of success, 3 TED Talks that reveal the secrets of storytelling, and so on and so on. There's supposedly a lot of secrets involved, but I have a confession, even after watching this video called 10 Secrets to Great Public Speaking, and it's this. There aren't any secrets. So, and I know this, and I can tell you this because I've watched that talk probably 3 times now. I've read all of those articles, and because I've spent the past 5 years teaching this in our class and teaching this to all the prisoners that we have on stage. And that's that the one thing that really has changed the way that both we approach presentations and the way that we teach people to do the same is not a secret, but it is a framework, and I like to call it this. Presentations are boring, but people are interesting. So we know this because in the past 5 years, we've worked with 78 presenters to craft and perfect their talks for the TEDxUGA stage. So we don't have those promised classified secrets, but we do have some advice about what makes great presentations, and that's some advice we are more than happy to share with you guys today.
So the first thing you need to understand is you can't just get up on stage or move to the front of the room and give a great presentation. A great presentation takes a lot of work. And a really important part of that preparation is finding the appropriate balance. So the goal of any
Closer.
There we go. The goal of any presentation is to inform, entertain, and persuade. A good presentation can do 2 of these things, but a great presentation has to do all 3. So on the spectrum of communication, your presentation should fall somewhere in between a report and a story. So with the 2 extremes being reading a book report out loud and performing a dramatic monologue, your presentation should fall right in the middle. You don't want to be reading straight, dry information, but it shouldn't belong on Broadway either. A great presentation will involve elements of both a report and a story to convey one central idea. So then you have to ask, what is my idea? You have to figure out the one key message you want to communicate, the big idea. In the TED, we call this the big idea, but in the past, you've probably thought of it as the thesis statement. Pointless presentations are boring presentations. We've all been in class or in a meeting and watched someone drone on and on without a method to the madness. But if you have one main goal of conveying a key idea, your presentation will be focused because you're only including the content that supports the point you're trying to make. At TEDxUGA, we ask all of our presenters to write idea statements before beginning their talk. We use these idea statements to guide our entire process from start to finish, so it's important that they're really strong. Here's an example of an idea statement from a talk about monarch butterflies. This first example is basically a topic. It gives you a main idea, but not much else. The second idea statement is much more powerful because it actually gives you a reason to care. Not all idea statements are the same, but they can all benefit from the same key formula. The first thing is that you have to convey your unique point of view on the topic. There's a reason that you're the one at the front of the room or on the stage giving this presentation. So you have to convey what your perspective adds to the idea. The second thing is you have to communicate what's at stake for those who do or don't accept your point of view. Your job is to convince everyone in the room to get on board with the version of the future that you're trying to create. So that's where the audience comes in.
So we told you that our take on presentations is that presentations are boring, but people are interesting. So what you must remember is that presentations are about people. And within the dynamic of a presentation, there is one relationship with 2 parties. You have the mentor and the hero, or the presenter and the audience, how you usually think of them. This is where the most common mistake comes to play. A lot of times, as the presenter, you have a bad habit of being the hero of your own story and taking your ego on stage with you. But you have to reverse that mentality. You have to understand that the audience is the hero of your story. Your goal is to share your idea, inspire them to take action, and carry out your idea, carry out your vision. And so you must serve as your hero's mentor. You must, as the mentor, provide them with the guidance, the tools, the resources, insights, and advice to carry out your idea for you. You are an army of 1, but they are an army of thousands. So you're the mentor from start to finish, and they, from the moment you take the stage, the moment you start writing your script, the moment you start making your visuals, have to envision them as your hero. Now, in order to resonate with your heroes, you have to remember that presentations are about moments. We like to call them star moments. star stands for something they'll always remember. I appropriately wore my star shirt today, knowing I was going to talk about star moments. There are 5 types of star moments that we teach. You're most likely not going to incorporate all 5 star moments into a presentation. You might be giving a Broadway play at that point in time, but incorporating 1, 2, or 3 that are appropriate for your presentation are helpful. So we're going to go through each one. First, a repeatable soundbite. This is something small that is going to be the headline of the article in the newspaper. This is going to be what people tweet. This is going to be the rally cry of your movement. These are just a couple of examples of the most famous repeatable soundbites. We all know these. Repeatable soundbites can be done one of 2 ways. Either it is the zinger that you deliver right at the beginning, or the middle, or the end. You drive it home, you say it slow, maybe it's on a slide behind you, but it's something that you say really powerfully that people take with them. Or it is an actual soundbite that you repeat over and over and over throughout the talk. It is the thread that weaves the entire thing together. Either way, it can be really powerful. The second kind is an evocative visual. This is every ASPCA commercial with Sarah McLachlan singing in the background that you have ever seen. You have to remember that a picture is worth 1,000 words, but more importantly, it's worth 1,000 emotions. So if you pick those emotional visuals and you use them over words, over a paragraph, over a number, it can drive emotions more than anything else. Emotive storytelling. Stories are the most repeatable part of a presentation. If you have a hero who's going to go tell their friends about the presentation, they're probably going to start with, I saw a presentation where they told me this story, and then deliver whatever it is the idea is. And so crafting really emotive stories, properly placing them where they belong in the presentation. A lot of times you see folks open with a story, because if you open with a story, people are automatically interested, and then you can carry them through the rest of the presentation. But placing a really well-crafted story or anecdote is very important. Shocking statistics. These are the jaw-dropping numbers that you put in that help people understand why they should care. You don't want to overload them with numbers. You don't want to do slide after slide after slide of data and figures. But finding the 1, 2, or 3 most shocking statistics that get people to care will help them then be inspired to carry out whatever it is the next action would be. And finally, the 5th star moment is memorable dramatization. This is a prop or a skit or a action on stage that is the most memorable. This right here probably makes no sense in this picture, but what's happening in this talk right here, this young man here is talking about how we don't really know where camels come from because there have been camel remains found in the Arctic. And at the very end of the talk, he is telling us how we should not be stuck to our preconceived notions about how the world has been forever. And all of a sudden, a camel walks out on stage. Never, I was in the audience for this talk, Kate was in the audience for this talk, never will we forget the moment a camel came on stage. Are you going to have a camel walk into your classroom? Probably not. But on the TEDx UGA stage, we've had some magic tricks done. We've played Jenga on stage. Anything that you do besides standing, talking, showing a visual is considered memorable dramatization. And with that, it goes back to Faulkner.
Alright, so the last thing I have to tell you is probably the thing you want to hear the least, which is that presentations are about practice. If there is a secret, it's the worst secret ever, and it's that you have to practice doing it. I think no one really loves public speaking. I don't. But I think the more that I do it and the more that I practice doing it, I feel a little bit better and a little bit more comfortable each time. So, having said that, we talked about the fact that people are interesting, which means people are different, so that practicing looks a little bit different on everybody. There's a few examples from TEDx UGA that I always like to share. TEDx UGA 2014 presenter Sarah Lawrence was petrified about public speaking, but she used to recite her talk 5 times every morning on the way to work in her car. And she said she was sure she was getting some strange looks from neighbors. TEDx UGA 2015 presenter Julia Rushmore was a PhD student in the School of Ecology, and she scheduled a standing meeting where she delivered her talk every single week to the members of her lab. My personal favorite is TEDx UGA 2017 presenter Carolyn Christ. In an effort to memorize her talk, she also created a rap version of it as well, which none of us ever heard, but I'm told it exists. So all of these people were nervous, and all of these people were nervous too. But none of them crashed and burned, I promise. And I really believe that's because we shared with them what we shared with you today. And we challenged them to think about presentations a little bit differently. And it empowered them to, take the stage and confront those fears. So I tend to think that even after all of that practice, if you're still nervous and you mess up, it's really okay. I don't think anyone in your audience is looking for you to fail. They want you to succeed. And I think if you do mess up, but you can recover from that kind of mistake with a little bit of grace and a little bit of humility, I think your audience members are ultimately going to care about you even more. And when they care about you, they'll care about your ideas. And that's kind of the whole point. Presentations are boring, but people are interesting.
Now we, in our class and when working with TEDxUGA presenters, we follow a presentation format created by Nancy Duarte, who is the founder of Duarte.
Just call Duarte.
It has a whole name that I always turn to pay for. And she's written several books, Slideology, Resonate. This one is available for free at resonate.duarte.com. And this has all of the things we've talked about plus more. It's a great free resource. It has interactive videos. It directs you to other books, both that Duarte has written and by other presentation or individuals who focus on powerful presentations. So this is a resource we wanted to share with you guys. It's an easy read. It's a fun read. And you can get it again for free, or it's like $19 on Amazon. Also, we want to invite all of you to see us in action. TEDxUGA 2018 is 3 weeks away. We are freaking out. You just can't tell. It will be March 22nd at the Classic Center. It's a Thursday night from 7 to 10. We encourage you to go out, have dinner downtown, come join us for TEDxUGA 2018. This is our 6th time taking the stage. We have 9 presenters, a musician. We'll be sharing 9 ideas, connecting the audience in different ways. It's going to be a fun evening. Tickets are $15 for students, $20 for faculty, staff, alumni, and the community. We have about 100 tickets left, so act fast. TEDxUGA.com/register has all of the information. And then finally, students, if you're looking for an elective, because I hear you have 4 spaces for electives, we do teach an upper level elective for undergraduates or a 6,000 level for graduate students. It's every Tuesday, Thursday at 11 a.m. You will learn more about what we talked about today, and then you will actually be given a real human presenter to curate. They will become your baby. You will put them on the stage. You will cry when they take the stage because you're that devoted. But we're taking applications for our fall class. Applications do close tonight at midnight because our application season is the month of February and we just happen to be here on the last day of February. It's an easy application though. If you want to hang out with me, you're welcome to take the class. I'm the instructor. Unfortunately, Kate is graduating, but Kendall will be there as well. So with that, we will open the floor to questions. Don't be shy. Hey, Claire's taking the class. Anything you want to say about the class, Claire?
The class was awesome. So yeah, I'm a student assistant for public relations here at the School of Social Work. I'm a public relations major, and I get to take TEDx with these wonderful ladies. I took it last semester. I'm taking it again this semester. It's an awesome opportunity. You get lots of cool connections, but also you do cry when your presenter goes on stage. My presenter is Apurva Banerjee, and she creates plastic from algae. So she's awesome. She just graduated with her PhD from UGA, and she's working in Atlanta, saving the world. So
She'll take the stage in 3 weeks.
yeah.
Any questions? Yes.
So if one wants to do a talk, is there some sort of audition process, or how does that work?
So we collect nominations year round. This year we received about 175. So we will go through, we do a hard push for nominations in the month of September, and then we review all of those in the month of October, and we make our final decisions in November. So that nomination process can either be nominate a professor that you had, or an alumni you know of, or you can submit a self-nomination. And that's just kind of providing a framework of what's the idea that you want to share, how do you think you should do it, and if there's any evidence you have online of videos of you doing talks, that's a great thing to share. So we have an advisory committee that gets together and makes the final decision on who are the 9 out of the 175 people.
That's the process for faculty, staff,
Oh,
and
I'm sorry.
alumni. Students,
There's a separate kind of pathway for student presenters. The application process is more like an application than a nomination. Students apply in September with a brief summary of their idea and a short video kind of elaborating further, and then we have an interview process to just get some more information about ideas, and then that selection process happens in October because in November we have the Student Idea Showcase where somewhere between 8 and 10 student presenters will craft their own talks for a smaller stage. We did it at the UJ Fine Arts Theater this year. And so that's its own incredible event to showcase the ideas we have just from UGA students, and then 3 or 4 of them get chosen to move on to the event in the spring.
yeah, so not only do we host TEDx UGA, but we also host the TEDx UGA Student Idea Showcase. It's always the Wednesday, the week before Thanksgiving, where about 9 presenters take the stage. We usually have about 600 students come. It's a free event. It's our way of keeping the TED spirit alive on campus, but it's also the way to find really the most compelling students on campus. It is fully run by the TEDx UGA Student Council, so we try to do a lot of student-focused work in the fall, and then we do the big event in the spring. So if you're a student, you want to do the Student Idea Showcase, go for it. Don't be scared. It's fantastic. If you're a faculty, staff, alumni, we're taking nominations all the time. Any other questions? Yes.
When does someone know they are ready to deliver a TED Talk? So is it after you've like amassed this like knowledge or, you know, wealth of information? So I was previously nominated and I couldn't do it, but I remember when I got the email being very intimidated. Like, what would I talk about? You know, what would I speak about? So when does someone know?
So I think that is a great question. I don't know that there's a specific answer to that. There are people around campus who get nominated every single year, and sometimes they're like, you know what, this is the year where I have the time and space in my life to do this.
It is a commitment.
That's another
Right.
thing is we ask a lot of our presenters, and I think honestly sometimes the best people that it's for is I have something that I want to say and I need help figuring out how to say it, because we go through a pretty intensive process from what's the vague idea to like literally what's the script, what's the slides.
Right.
We kind of help take people through that process, and I think if you're someone who's like, I want to do this, and now I think I've settled on an idea, but I've never really done anything like this before, but if you have kind of the time and space where you're like, I'm ready to craft a talk, then I think it's the right time for you.
We're not asking you to be an expert in what it is, but we're asking you to have the appropriate credibility. You have the experience, you have the knowledge. You may not be the most worldwide famous expert on fill in blank here, but you've devoted enough of your life to be able to talk about it, and you have that unique perspective.
I think that's a good point. I think we also, simply put, we look for people who practice what they preach. So if you're researching something or you're doing something and you have like a personal connection to what you're doing, it makes it all the more compelling.
Yeah.
How do people find your TED Talk?
Oh, well, that's good. So the talks live online. We submit, once the talks are done, we submit them to TED, Big TED up in New York, and they post them on their YouTube channel. And then we post them to our website, and between our social media efforts, TED's social media efforts, our website, TED's website, and just the overall familiarity with TED, our talks currently, our 5 years of talks have been viewed about 350,000 times. And it's just mostly people going to, you know, a teacher, a individual, and they're like, man, I'd like to learn more about camels. And they go, you know, they search Google and, you know, camels, and TED Talks are some of the most popular items to show up in Google results or TED.com search results. Or, you know, TED has all kinds of different programs where they push talks. So they have Nature Month, and they're going to push talks about nature. And if you're lucky, then one of your talks is the one that gets pushed. So all different kinds of ways. We have talks that have a couple hundred views. We have talks that have tens of thousands of views. Just kind of depends. Dr. Bettina, no, who am I thinking of? DBA. Dawn Bennett Alexander, her talk is linked in her
It's in her
signature
email
line.
signature.
You know?
Yeah, so it
Something
has a lot of
like
nice.
Did you have a question? Yeah.
So outside of like your own, practicing, what does the time commitment look like? Do you have to, do the individuals have to come to you guys and do type of meetings? Do you take it beforehand?
So we pretty much operate on the semester basis because the main workforce here are the students in this class. So we pair every presenter with 2 students, and most of them have, at least this semester, a standing weekly meeting. And maybe that's 30 minutes, maybe that's an hour, and they use that hour a week to get things done.
Yeah, because you'll go through easily 4 or 5 versions of your script, and then 4 or 5 versions of your slides, and then 4 or 5 practice delivery sessions. So that is pretty much January to March, and then you take the stage.
So I like to think that the benefit of this is that you're not doing it alone. There's 2 undergraduate or graduate students whose grade depends on you doing what you're supposed to do. So you have someone that has to keep you accountable. It's kind of a job, and I can't think of any other opportunity when someone is saying, hey, have you done that thing you said you're going to do? Because we both need you to do that. So I think it works out that way because I like to think of it, and I try to tell all our presenters that, like, you have a team to help you. Like, if you don't know how to create slides, you don't want to, say, you guys can do that for me. And that's why they're there. So it's really a collaborative effort between us and your teams and you, and I think that's what makes our talks so strong. Yes.
For student presenters, what kind of qualifications are you looking for?
Student presenters, it's going to be a little different because obviously you don't have a lifetime of research and experience that well, I guess it could be your lifetime, but I mean, we're college students. We haven't been researching for 20 years. And so just using the examples of our student presenters for this one, we have Elizabeth Cardister, who's giving a talk about individual action promoting community level disaster preparedness. And she does Curo research in the Institute for Disaster Management and is like earning her master's in public health in disaster management. And so she's studying and working with the thing that she wants to communicate. So you have to have like that unique perspective and some level of experience, but it also doesn't need to be the world's most earth-shattering idea for the student initiative piece.
Yes.
One of the things that always struck me about the TED Talk format is that it's a really useful way to communicate information, whether or not you're doing it in TED Talk. And I wonder if you've seen either TED Talk alums or people that have been through the program kind of use that in other social action sorts of ways, and you can talk about that a little.
So I would say that a piece of feedback we get from everybody who's taken the class and everybody who's taken the stage is that we have forever ruined them in terms of presentations. They can't sit through a bad presentation without nitpicking everything that's done wrong about it. And so what we teach that stays the longest with folks from the class and presenters is how to craft whatever it is you're doing, whether it's for the TED stage, whether it's for the classroom, whether it's for a donor presentation, how to do it in the most powerful and resonating way possible. And that's by really focusing on the format of the script, incorporating the star moments, treating your audience the appropriate way, having the appropriate visuals. And we just touched on a few of those things. But yeah, this format can be used anywhere. And it's common that anybody who's gone through this experience with us uses this format for the rest of their professional careers.
I think kind of the other useful part to that is, you know, especially in academia, everyone's kind of in their own lanes where they're an expert in what they do, and a lot of times they're not communicating that to complete outsiders. So what we have is an audience that's a totally general audience. There's no real base level of understanding on a specific topic. So we challenge you to communicate your research or your passion or your business or whatever to somebody who has no idea what you're talking about. And that's a lot harder than people think it is. But I think that kind of just framework of like, well, how's the way that how do I explain this to someone who's never heard of me or my field before? I think that in any kind of communication moving forward is something that people take with them.
Yeah, I mean, if you can just start within your next several presentations, before you sit down with PowerPoint, before you sit down to write your script, if you can really spend some time focusing on what is the one thing you want to communicate, and you write that at the top of your documents that you build your slides in, and the top of your script paper, and you can really focus on trying to communicate that one thing, it will keep you from going on all the tangents, which we're really used to going on. And then if you can figure out how to rework it so that you serve as the mentor and you really empower your audience as the heroes, that's your next step in getting through to your audience. And then, working on incorporating star moments. If you can practice each one in each presentation, you're going to automatically become more powerful presenter. Yes?
Do audience members ask questions of the presenters?
No, but we do have an intermission for mingling with presenters. You can talk to presenters before the program, during intermission, and after the program. All the presenters are available. But the TED format is not really a Q&A format, and in the Classic Center we have 1,600 people, so that would just get messy.
If not, thank you very much. Okay, so we'll post this for people who couldn't come, and we'll post slides for everybody else on our Facebook page.
And we'll hang out up here if anybody wants to chat.
Super, thank you
You're
so much.
welcome.